I'm Julia.
And I'm Sue.
And welcome to Sticks and Stones podcast. We're glad you came back to join us again this week. We've got some great things to share with you today. First, I'd like to tell you that we started a Ravelry group for those of you who are on Ravelry called Sticks and Stones. We have 3 members so far, so I'd love to thank those 3 people who are stepping out of their comfort zone and talking with us online. It's really exciting. I think that we can get some good conversations going. And in fact, 2 of them have already started beating because of you.
That's so exciting, so I definitely have to join Ravelry then.
Yes,
I'm not a member yet.
It's not an officially sanctioned craft of Ravelry, but they have. In fact, one girl told me that she was pretty upset because her husband was upset with her. That she went out and bought all this beading stuff. So we are good enablers.
You know, actually when I teach classes, I always say, I am not responsible for how much money you spend beyond this point.
Yes. But it's a good craft. So please come and join us. Sticks and Stones podcast on the Ravelry site. And also we do have a WordPress site in case anybody hasn't seen it. All of our episodes are listed there. You can get to us through that or through Blip. But that is sticksandstonespodcast.wordpress.com, and we would love to have people come and comment there and tell us what you think, any ideas you have or things you'd like to see us show you on the show.
Sounds good.
All right. Yeah. So what are you doing?
I finished this bag. I know last week I showed it and I had it almost finished, but these things were flopping around and you had said, oh, is it going to be a pocket? And I had originally thought no, and then I tried sewing through all these layers of fabric and my machine wasn't having it. So I did end up making this into a pocket. I made a piece of fabric and then sewed the leather pieces onto it.
Very nice. And you know what?
Pocket.
I am very impressed how you matched up the little horses.
I tried. I mean, it's not perfect, but they're close enough that it looks pretty good.
That is very nice.
Thank you.
And I'm sure she loves it.
She does. She does. She was excited to take to Grandma's.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So.
Perfect.
Yeah, so that's done. The other things I've been working on this week is I made these reusable little pads. I always use these cotton ones, like when you're putting toner on your face or foundation. And the other day I was like, I just use these and throw them out, and it's sort of ridiculous. So
reduce, reuse, recycle.
Yep, all that good stuff. So I made all of these. I made 10 of them, and really simple. I just made squares. Basically like a pocket, turned it inside out, left one side open, and then I stuffed it with 2 to 4 layers of flannel to give it some cushiness.
All right.
And then I stitched it all the way around the outside just with a zigzag stitch, and so that closed the end that was open, and also it kind of keeps the stuff inside in place.
Okay.
And I made them all fun and funky little colors.
They're fun. These aren't serged then?
No, I do not have a serger.
Okay.
So this is a cheater way to serge.
Yeah, that
just
looks
do
very
a
nice.
zigzag stitch all the way around. So yeah, so they're fun. And so I made one side is flannel and the other side is cotton. I had seen online, I had looked online to see if anybody else had done them, and some people use the minky fleece. It's that real soft minky that they use for baby stuff. But I'm not crazy about that for this kind of application, and so that's why I use the flannel instead. So yeah, all different colors and fun fabrics that I had in my stash. I mean, that's the other thing. Like, they're all different sizes because I just cut squares out of whatever I had.
Very nice.
Yeah, and the other thing that I did along the reduce, reuse, recycle is I made unpaper towels. Because, we go through paper towels like crazy.
Yeah.
Every morning I have to clean out my coffee maker because the grinder's inside. And I don't really want to use my tea towels because then it gets them all stained and gross. So all I did was I took one of these IKEA tea towels. It's called the Tekla tea towels. I like that they're a real thin, but they clean up. And I cut it in half this way, and then I cut some of them in half across this way, and then I just hemmed one edge. So there's 2, out of that I ended up making 2 little ones, like this, and 1 bigger one.
Very nice.
And so that way, like, when the kids are cleaning up, like, something off the floor that they don't want me to find out about that they dumped, instead of using, like, my nice tea towels, they can use these instead. So
and I noticed there's a little hanger on this one.
That actually came on the tea towel.
That's very handy.
Yes. So that's what I've been working on. How about you?
Well, I was very busy because I felt like I was on a deadline, and I finished the sweater I started last time
Wow.
that I showed you that had only that little teeny bit.
Yeah.
This is it. This is the Playful Stripes cardigan from Never Not Knitting.
Wow.
And it's actually still a little wet because I was in the process of blocking it, but I am very happy with it.
It's really cute.
This is 6 to 9 month size. So I think it should last for quite a while. It's got some good stretch in it, and the sleeves are really long, so.
That's really cute. I can't believe you knitted that so fast.
Yeah, I really like baby things because they are so quick. You know, it's just an easy turnaround. It's fast, and I did run out of yarn, so I have a little yellow edge along the front that's not really supposed to be there, but I thought it was a cute little
It's
touch.
really cute. I like it.
So that's,
And it looks like it matches this yarn.
it's the same, yeah. The same yarn. So that's the first
Oh,
thing
so
I
you
did.
ran out of the white yarn?
Yes.
And then you put, I think
Yes.
that's a nice addition. I like that. It makes it look really cute.
So that's going to be off pretty soon to the intended recipient. And then I've been working. I spent 12 hours in the car this weekend. We went to go visit my mother and father-in-law for her retirement party. And it's quite a long drive. So I started on the Oaklet shawl, which is a free pattern. And actually it goes this way. This is the top edge. And I am almost...
That's cute.
I think I have about maybe 12 rows left before I start the lace edging that will go around it. And this is in Malabrigo sock yarn, and I think the color is, I should have brought it. I didn't bring it. I'll post it. But it's like a purpley, greeny. It's really interesting.
It's cute. It's like moss.
Yeah, and some lights it looks really blue. Some lights it looks
Oh, right.
really.
It does look kind of purpley gray. Oh, wow.
It's got a lot of colors in it.
Huh.
I treated myself for Christmas, and I got some fancy yarn, and now I'm using it, and I'm loving it.
Oh, that's good.
So I'll probably have this done next time.
Awesome.
We finished up Nerd Wars this past week, and so now I'm free to knit what I want to knit. Not that I wasn't before, but that's got a category, you know. Like
Right.
my husband was laughing that somehow I managed to make this sweater fall into Shakespeare and fringe. I was able to tie them all together and get points for that with this. So
Nice.
I think I said that the Italian princess who was being exiled would have to wear a fancy sweater in the desert, and the guy who was exiled in fringe was really cold or something. Something like that. Anyway, so that's what I've been doing. Those are my two big projects. When you're a beginning knitter, you want to just think about a couple of things before you get started. The type of needle that you choose is going to be an important part of your work. You may want to consider using a wooden needle instead of a metal needle. Wood tends to be a little bit more grippy and will not allow your stitches to slip off quite as easily as a metal one will. You'll also want to think about the type of yarn you choose. A yarn such as this one in a light color is going to be much easier to see on a needle than something like this. The fuzz and the small width of the yarn will be much more difficult for a beginning knitter to work with than something along this line. This was a worsted weight. Also, when you think about the color of your yarn, something like this in a solid is much easier to see. The stitches and the definition of the stitches is much greater than in a variegated yarn. Even though they're the same weight, the stitches are much more difficult to see. A dark color is also more difficult to see. So a beginning knitter will probably want a lighter shade of yarn. I'm going to show you guys my favorite cast on. It's called the long tail cast on. The hardest part about this is estimating how much yarn you're going to need. But when you decide how much you're going to be needing, estimate about maybe 3 times as much yarn as you need stitches. So I'm going to cast on 10 stitches and I have way more yarn than I need. You're going to start with a loop. Just loop your yarn over the needle and then cross it. Put your 2 fingers into the cross like this, and then bring the yarn down in between. You're going to hold all the tails with your other fingers. So again, you have a loop, 2 fingers into the bottom, and pull it forward. Now what you're going to do is kind of a serpentine pattern. You're going to go under your thumb, around and under your finger, then pull that through and drop it. Again, fingers in the center, pull it down. Watch my needle. Around the thumb, around the finger, through the loop, and pull it. And that makes a nice, neat little edge. Around the thumb, around the finger, and back through. And you just keep doing that for as many stitches as you need. Again, this is the long tail cast on. And when you get to the end, both ends of your yarn will be at the end of your row. So there's a nice little row of bumps down there. Now, if for some reason you run out of yarn, which won't happen to me right now, but if you do, all you have to do is take your long end, make a loop, and slide it through. And that adds another stitch with the same bump at the bottom. These stitches tend to be a little more elastic, so they're not quite as easy to work with. So I prefer to get as many stitches done with the long tail before I have to worry about that end. But in a pinch, if you've just cast on 500 stitches and you don't want to redo it, you can add a few like that. And then both of your ends go the same direction. And you can turn and begin your work. Now from here, I'm going to show you the knit stitch. I'm going to show you first English, which is my preferred method. People call it the throwing method. And then I'll show you Continental, which is what people sometimes call the picking method. For English, you'll insert the needle into the loop. Let me take these 3 off. Those are going to be a pain. Insert your needle in the loop from front to back. Make sure you're working with your working yarn, not the tail. Loop around from back to front and then pull through. Pop off the end. Again, I may have said this wrong. From front to back, around the needle, through and off. Front to back, around the needle, through and off. It's called the throwing because you're taking your yarn and throwing it around. Now, if you wanted to do Continental, you'd use your other hand. Pick it up with your pinky to give some tension, and then hold the yarn with your pointer finger. You'll see why this is called picking, because again, you go from front to back, but you grab the yarn with your needle, pull it through and off. Grab the yarn with your needle, pick it up, go through and off. This is not my preferred method. I don't keep tension very well with it. But sometimes, if your hand gets tired, it's nice to be able to change. Oops. And drop a stitch. Just put the needle back through and keep on going. So that's Continental knitting. I'm going to go back to English for the last few stitches. I like to wrap my finger around, through and off. And then you get to the last stitch, around, through and off. And now you have a row of knit stitches. It's difficult to see at this point because it's your very first row. But you can see there are little V's right underneath your live stitches. Now to do stockinette stitch, you turn your needle and purl back. To do garter stitch, you turn your needle and knit back, but I'm going to show you purl. For a purl stitch, it's the same basic idea as knit for the English. I wrap my yarn. This time the needle goes from back to front, angling more downwards. And your yarn is in the front of the knitting, whereas before it was in back. So you're going to go around the needle, top to bottom, through the front and off. Again, through the needle, through the yarn, around and off. I apologize for my hands getting in the way. Not as easy as it looks when you are working at a table. Alright, now if you're going to do continental, you will take your same setup, wrap it around your pinky, give yourself some tension with your finger, yarn to the front, and you'll be picking. So, needle goes through, around the front, pull it up with your needle and out. Same idea, but all of your yarn work is done with your left hand instead of your right. Again, this is not my preferred method. I just wanted to show you guys the difference. So that's continental. And I'll stop there for now. All right.
So what are we doing now?
Let me show you.
We're knitting?
We're-
No!
This is the time when Sue learns to knit. I'm going to get her into this. This is how it works from the cast on row. I'll just show you again and then I'll let you loose. And I'll grab another so I
Okay.
can show you. So up from the front, around the back, and then back through. So
Okay.
ask any questions as
So-
you go.
Does the yarn go over like that, or does it matter if it goes over top or underneath or this way?
It does not matter how you hold the yarn. It's just what's most comfortable for you and is able to give you the tension you need.
I've got enough tension in my life. I don't need more. And then around like
Around the
this,
back, yep.
and then bring it up like that.
You got it. Her first stitch.
Woohoo!
Yeah, that's it. That's all it is. Now, do you see what I mean though about the being able to see your stitches?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're coming. I think mine are tighter than yours though.
That's all right. It's a work in progress.
What am I making here?
Well, with these stitches, you can make things as simple as a scarf, or a pair of hand warmers, fingerless mitts. You could make a dishcloth.
I already made those, remember last time?
Very true, very true.
Okay, maybe I didn't make those. Does it matter that it spirals around? You just keep
No.
pushing it back?
Yep, just keep pushing it back down. And then when it, yeah, just push it up close to the tip every time. If you see your yarn is pulling right there,
Mm-hmm.
give it a little more slack. And then it won't be quite so tight on your needle.
Okay.
And once you master basic knitting and purling, you can learn some increases and decreases and go on to make something like a hat or a neck warmer or a sweater.
Wow. So this needs to be up here close to the tip. I keep
Mhm.
squishing it down.
And look right here, you split the yarn. So
Now
just
what?
pop that one off.
And put it back on here?
Yeah. We'll just take that one out. See how it's in two
Okay.
sections?
I might.
So what you'll do with this is grab it from the other needle again. And just whoop. Now sometimes we make a mistake. Unfortunately, when you're a beginner,
You make
there's a
lots of
lot
mistakes.
of pulling out and starting fresh. It's just the way it goes. But it's a work in progress. And I intend to try some beading pretty soon, so you'll be able to see the lovely catastrophes that I make. Well, you know what? We'll just go on with that.
We'll just keep going, and there'll
Yeah.
just be a big hole there, right?
For now.
That's okay. There's supposed to be a hole there.
It's art.
Oh, right.
Well, I hope that this can inspire you guys at least a little bit. I know it's kind of frustrating as a beginner, and especially when you're on camera to have to learn how to knit.
It's fine.
But
Look at that. Look at that. Woohoo! I made a worm.
But I would love to see.
I forgot what I was doing.
The rabbit goes up the hole, around the back, down his hole, and runs away from the fox.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that's the right poem. Anyway,
That's
point
tying your
being-
shoes.
Point being, I would love to see some of you guys if you start to do some of your own knitting. We'll just have an open forum for anybody who has questions or wants to show some of their beginning works so that we can kind of support each other through this first process.
Awesome.
So I showed you guys a couple of these books when we were doing our DIY, and I just wanted to go over them a little more carefully. I found these couple at least to be, this one especially, to be invaluable to a beginning knitter. These other two here, they're baby books. I was partial to them because I was knitting for my children at the time, but these both are very simple, have a lot of good instruction in the beginning. They talk a lot about what kind of yarn you can use. They have detailed descriptions of the stitches and the needles. So all the things that we've been talking about are here for reference. And these projects are really good ones to start with. If you're gonna do something, I love that sweater.
That is so cute.
If you're gonna do something and you don't want to feel like you're gonna waste a whole lot of time doing it, start small. Someone's going to have a baby. Someone's going to need a hat. Someone's going to need a scarf. And you can either give it away or donate it to a craft fair or something along those lines. So I would recommend both of these books, Knitting for Baby by Melanie Fallick and Kristen Nicholas. And this one is Baby Knits for Beginners by Debbie Bliss. And then let me just show you this one. This is the Knitter's Companion. And I think they've come out with a new edition since I got this one. This one goes in my bag and I leave it there. I don't knit without this book next to me. It just has, every page has a description about something that answers questions. There's yardage estimates. If you don't know how much you think you're going to need for a particular size pattern, it'll give you some estimates. It's got body measurements. It's got descriptions on gauge. There's stitches in here. So I taught myself a whole lot just by looking at this book. And then at the very back, this page is my most used. It's got a ruler and your knitting sizer. So if you don't know what size needle is, you just pop it in there and it'll tell you. It's got all the different types of measurement, UK, metric, English, US. So if you don't get any other book for a beginning knitter, I would highly, highly recommend this Knitter's Companion. It's from Interweave Press.
They actually have a beading one just like that too.
Oh, all right.
And I think they have a fabric one as well.
And I know they have a spinning one and a crochet one too. So these guys are they're real good.
They are. They're great.
And
it's nice that they have them with the spiral binding
Yeah.
too, so that you can fold it back. But
I was just looking
I
to
have
see
the
if it
beading
stood
one.
up.
Interweave has all kinds of good stuff.
Yeah, that's a good reference. And then also on Ravelry, I'm going to be talking about them way too much, but there's resources up and down and backwards and forwards at that site. So if you're a beginning knitter and you don't know where to go, that's a really good place to start too. So
Yeah, and a couple of my favorite things from the week. I showed you these earlier in the podcast. My reusable makeup and toner applicators, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hang one of these bags in my bathroom to put them in when I'm done with them, and then I can just wash them with my towels. And these are actually made by my sister-in-law, Kristen, and they're from Monkeyfoot Designs. and she makes these wet bags. So they're lined on the inside. This one actually has makeup in it right now. But they're lined on the inside with ProCare, and it's sealed so that it doesn't leak. So you can put wet stuff in here. She started making them because she cloth diapers, and then she would put her cloth diapers in them when she was out. And she makes them in all different sizes. So these are the snacker size. Actually, these are the small, and then this is the snacker size, which is the extra small. And the extra small is what my daughter takes her snack for school in every day. And
Makes a good knitting bag too.
yes, I think this one's the large, and then this one's the extra large, and this one is the one that we use all summer for our swimming suits.
These are great. I
So.
do. I have one too, and I'm always carting stuff around in it. I was just stuffing my yarn in. It makes a really good knitting bag.
I'll take that back.
It's mine now. Now I know how so many people.
That's Luke's because it's got cars on it.
I won't steal from the boy. No, a lot of people are so into bags right now, but these are really nice because they are waterproof. So if you drop it in a puddle, it's not going to ruin your yarn.
Right. It keeps the water in and out,
Yeah.
depending on what you want to use it for. The funny thing is that when you wash these, one time I took this large bag, and when you wash them, you just wash them in the machine, but you need to pull the liner out. And so we had come back from swimming, and I hung everything out on the wash line, and I hung it like this. And then that night, I forgot to bring it in, and it rained, and this filled up with water. So you need to hang it this way so that the water
That's a good idea.
out. It was just very funny.
So-
And once in a while, when I wash them, it'll have water inside.
It's a nice little snap too.
Yeah, so I can snap it onto my towel rack, so I can put my little things in it. She also has started making a new one that's for the unpaper towels like these, where you can snap it onto your stove. It's a bigger one. It's about this wide, but it's longer, and then it has little loops on it, so you can snap it onto your stove, or you can snap it onto your stroller
Okay.
if you want to take it out and about when you have kids that are still in strollers and they make a mess.
Yeah.
And then you can throw all of the messy clothes or sippy cups or whatever into it.
Very nice.
She's at monkeyfootdesigns.com, and she's on Etsy.
Very nice.
I think that's it for our podcast today.
Thanks for joining us
Thank
again.
you.
And hopefully we'll be seeing you soon. Have a great week.
Thanks.
Bye.